But before we do that, I want to share some thoughts, because I have been saying that there is something special about Valmiki. I have been saying this from the first class. Valmiki brings things for Loka Vyavahara, for our day to day. So, right on dot, first shloka in the first kanda, in the first sarga, he has actually got us into a Loka Vyavahara actually. We will see it today. He has not wasted even a iota of a moment. Straight the question he has asked, if we look at that question today, we will find this is very important for us in our day to day. This is the charm of Valmiki, Ramayanam. So the entire epic starts with a very important set of things which we will see. But before doing that, we have to create a context to make sense of those shlokas. Actually, if I am talking of Loka Vyavahara now, suppose if I ask, my daughter or my son, or suppose we want to say, how do we say he or she is good? This is a very simple question. It's a Loka Vyavahara. We want to say my daughter is good or my son is good, something like that. Now, you think about it, and you also ask people, or sometimes voluntarily, involuntarily also in conversation it comes, what are the things they will say? This is the question that we need to ask. So I thought about it, and many things came to my mind. So the first thing is they will say, my son or daughter is well educated. People say he's an engineer, he's a doctor, or he is a management, something they will say. So for them that is an index that the child has arrived. It's good. So one frequently encountered, people will not forget. They will say that my son is well educated. He has gone to IIT, IIM, AIMS, some big names we will say, and say well educated. Okay. If he is much younger, he say, oh, he gets good marks. So he's a very bright student. He gets good marks. So this is another way we try to actually say that he is good. Correct? Then they say, oh, my son got a good job. My daughter is well placed. Got a good job. Very famous, most sought after. So these are some of the words which quite often come to us when we think that somebody is good. Somebody has achieved what he or she has to achieve in the life. Correct? Or say, he earns a lot. 5 digit, 6 digit. Today I had to say 7 digit, I think. 5 digit and 6 digit does not make too much sense. 7 digit salary. Or he has gone to US. This is a big thing. Whether you go to Swarga or not, you have to go to US. Bhogabhumi, Swarga pales in comparison with the US, I think. So there is some feeling that my son or daughter goes to US. That is a big thing. And people actually work for it. Seriously. They think if my daughter or son goes to US, Janma Sapalya. Moksha, I don't know. Janma Sapalya. That much I can say. Janma Sapalya. Janma Sapalaha Abhavat. So this is another thing. We say it very commonly. We think like that. So I'm neither saying it bad or good. I am not at all making a value judgment. I am only giving you a list of things which we normally count in our list of how do we say that my son or daughter is. Correct? Or we'll say, he has job security, he has a very good bank balance, non-movable assets. So, the list goes on. Or you can say he is healthy. Thank God, everything is fine. Right? So, all these, if we look at these examples, I gave a few examples. One can add a few more. I'm not saying all of us are going to say all these. But if you ask 100 of them, you will get this list. Definitely you will get this list. If you ask 100 of us, unwittingly we will genuinely feel that is a good thing. This list will come. But what is common to this list that I have read so far? There is something very common. I do not know how many of you have noticed. All these are about an outcome. This is an outcome. Getting more money is actually an outcome. Getting good marks is a result of something. All these are result. Outcome or result. It's not the process. It is the end. So nobody makes a list. Nobody says my daughter or son is like this, therefore he got a good job. We missed the middle part. We straight away went to the end. Many of the things that we say are outcome based, result oriented, and that is how we try to claim. How do we say that a person? So in some ways, if somebody can tick all these, somebody got a very good education, went to US, became famous, made a lot of money, made 2-3 houses, non-movable assets, have job security. If you tick all of them, he is a perfect human being. Today's thinking is like this. I am not saying again. I am not making a judgment here. I am saying we are arrived here. Our understanding of how to measure a perfect human being is having all these attributes. Now, Valmiki starts with this question first. This is a very important question. So, the first important question in Valmiki Ramayana, in the first Sarga, in the first Shloka, he jumped straight into this question. Here there are 5 shlokas which we will see. We will see the shlokas now. And Valmiki has asked something to Narada. Let us see what he has asked. And then we'll come back to this discussion that we have now. Because this is how we think today. Valmiki is giving a very different way to look at. Problem is the same. How do you define a perfect human being? A person who can be near perfect. How do you define? This is the question. So now let us look at the shlokas. But before that, I want to introduce a few other shlokas, because it is not just Valmiki. It is not just Ramayanam. This is our culture. So our repository of knowledge has taken a certain view on how do you judge yourself or what is important for you. This is a question for any society. And that question can keep changing. And today we, as I told, we are measuring it in a particular way. So I will pull a few shlokas from a few other scriptures just to preamble the Samkshepa Ramayana's first 5 shlokas. So we will see those shlokas. So this is a very famous shloka. This is the first one is a very famous shloka. Ahara nidra bhaya maitunancha Samanyam etat pashubihi narana dharmo hi tesham adhiko viseshaha dharmena hina pashubis samanaha. It's a beautiful shloka. This is in Panchatantra. It is actually Hitopadesha actually. So what is it saying? Ahara, eating. Okay. Nidra, have good sleep. Good food, good sleep. Bhaya, sense of fear. Maitunam, getting together for procreation. Right? He says these 4 are common between human beings and animals. First line only says that. It says Ahara, Nidra, Bhaya, Maitunam cha Samanyam. This is very common. Etat Samanyam. Where Pashubihi Naranam. It is common for human beings as well as animals. Now the question is then, how are human beings different from animals? This is the question now. Where these 4 they are also doing, they are also doing. In fact, I have mentioned it in many of my earlier lectures. I have mentioned that some of the things that we are doing now is we are actually competing with animals. See, for bodily pleasure, if you compete with animals, you will be actually losing. Animals can enjoy a pound of food much better than us. Animals' ability to enjoy bodily pleasure, man cannot match. Actually, that's not the dimension, but we are trying to match animals on that. We want only Indriya Sukha. Ahara, is not just what we eat through mouth. Yat ahriyate tat ahara. That which goes in is ahara. So today we want to have all kinds of gadgets. Being alone is the last thing we want to do. Nothing is there, at least a mobile phone like Japamala, we have to keep on doing something like that. We can't. We want to feed all the time to the Indriyas. That we cannot actually beat the animals. We will lose heavily. And man did not create this creature for that. The man created an entity called human being not to compete with the animals on Indriya Sukha. That's what the second line is saying. Dharmo hi tesham adhikaha. There is something plus. First line, uta, eating, enjoying, sleeping, and fear. Plus there is something. That plus is only for us. And what is that? Dharma. Dharmo hi tesham adhikaha visesha. That is special. That is not samanya. That is visesha. Visesha dharmena hinaha. Those who don't imbibe this repository and this framework called dharma, they are pashubis samanaha. They are like animals because they have left this part. Now they have what is common with. So this is there in every scriptures in our knowledge repository. Everywhere you will find it. So I have taken a few more. You just see what it is. Look at the next sloka. It's very nice. What it says is yanti nyaya pravrittasya. If somebody is in the path of nyaya pravrittasya yanti tiryang cha. Tiryang is animals, the flat, not the vertical. We are all vertical. Animals are horizontal. They grow horizontally. I mean, they also grow vertically, but the axis is actually horizontal. Our axis is vertical. Right? Tiryang is actually animal. Tiryang api sahayatam. If somebody is willing to walk the path of dharma and value, even animals will help, which is what Ramayana is all about. The Vanaras were helping. That is the first line. Second line says, apantanam. One does not go on the pantha. He goes on the wrong. Pantha is the path. Path is pantha actually. Apantanam. If somebody goes away saying, I don't practice any moral values and nothing, to gachantam, sodarapi yumiche, brother also deserts. Vibhishana deserted him. Ravana is on the other side. So this shloka says that is the value of dharma in the long run. Dharma you can't see it tomorrow morning. Dharma is not in the short run. Dharma is in the long run. Dharma is in the long run. He says brother also will abandon a person who does not follow dharma set of values. So value is very, very important in life. So in our journey to define a perfect human being, we should have at least one value term there. I did not include any of the value term there. I include only results. There is no term which talked about values in the list. I think this is in Manusmriti, I think. It says, Bhutanam pranina sreshtaha, of all living beings. Praninas, which are movable. Stavara jangama, that's what they say, no? Plants are not movable. Animals are movable. We are also in the animal kingdom only. So, Bhutanam praninaha sreshtaha, they are better. Amongst the living beings, animals are better. Praninam buddhijivinaha, those which can use their buddhi. So animals also can use, but their amount they can use, different categories of animals. As the animal kingdom evolves, you will find a dog uses its brain much better than which we are not able to see. So we are making a very relative statement actually there. Okay. Buddhi matstu naraha sreshtaha. Amongst those who can use the buddhi, human beings are better because God created like that. This buddhi is of a slightly special variety. Therefore, they must be better. Buddhimatsu naraha sreshtaha, naranam satvikaha smritaha. Amongst the human beings who all have a special buddhi, those with satvika buddhi are better, not tamasic or rajasic. So that is what it says. Satvikaha smritaha. Then it says, satvikeshu cha vidvamsaha. See, a person who is sattvic and also knowledgeable, his ability to do good is much higher. It is much better and much higher. So therefore, satvikeshu cha vidvamsaha. Amongst the satvikas, those who have scriptural knowledge and all that is even better. Okay? Vidvatsu krita buddhayah. Those, some people are very knowledgeable, but loka vyavaharartham nasti. Tesham. They can't. Loka vyavaharartham adhikataya edu doesn't happen. So krita buddhayah. Krita buddhi is to kartara. Those who are not just know how to do, but to do. They are better. Right? And kartrushu brahmavadinah. So there is in this shloka is the Manusmriti. This shloka puts a trajectory in which we have to grow. In one thing, he has laid a path. He says, what are all the milestones for us to become better? So why I am saying this, this is rampant in our knowledge repository. Not just, but Valmiki, when he started the Kavya, jumped straight into this issue, straight, without wasting. That is what the first 5 shlokas and the reply and the 18 shlokas are going to be like that. So we'll now look at the Samkshepa Ramayanasya shlokaha. Last time we quickly saw it, so we'll see it. Tapaha swadhyaya niratam tapasvi vagvidam varam naradam paripapracha valmikihi munipungavam. So last time I explained this, that Valmiki went to Narada and all the adjectives of Narada are there. Tapasvi vagvidam naram naradam paripracha. He went and asked Narada a question, Valmiki. So we saw this. So in the next 4 shlokas, he actually asked, is there a person like that? That is why I started with that introduction. Because it is very unlikely we'll ask those kinds of questions today. Looks like. Because the list here is very different from the list we are used to today. That is why I mentioned all that at the beginning. So let us look at those 4 shlokas. Konvasmin sampratam loke gunavan kascha viryavan dharmajnascha kritajnascha cha satyavakyo dridavratah. So there are 6 attributes he has put here. He is asking, please tell me, is there somebody who is gunavan? See, there is in Sanskrit, there is something called matup pratyaya. It's called tadita. If somebody is endowed with something, if you have to say somebody is endowed with something, then we use what is called matup. So that matup, after all the treatment, will become either man or van, depending upon what is the ending. I mean, it's a vyakarna. We'll just leave it at that. So here you have gunavan, you may have buddhiman. There it is man, here it is van. Because there is upada, avarna, ityadikam. It's a vyakarna, let us not worry about it. But they are all coming from. So gunavan means somebody who is endowed with guna. Buddhiman means one who is endowed with buddhi. Tasmin tat tasya tat asti iti. That is the vyakarana sutra there. Matup is that's how it comes. So he is asking, is there somebody who is endowed with gunas? So endowed with gunas means in our common parlance we say this fellow doesn't have he doesn't have the guna. What we mean is a certain composition of the psychology which makes him right attitude, right kind of a behavior. All these are behind this term gunavan, no? So the first thing he's asking is there somebody who is endowed with gunas? Look at all these 16 attributes which we will see together. You see, none of them are output oriented. You will actually see that. That is the interesting part about Valmiki's list. So gunavan, viryavan, somebody who has valorous, very courageous to do things. So that's the second thing he's asking. Viryavan, vitality. Does he have the virya? Endowed with virya. Does he have that vitality? Vitality can be used in many. It's a very, very important thing in life. You must have that vitality to do things. So that's the second attribute he talks about, viryavan. Then dharmajna. As I told you in Sanskrit is very easy if you learn it like that. If anything ends with jna, that means jna means jnana. Dharmajna is one who knows dharma. Kritajna is one who knows how to do things. I mean, achiever of things. So the jna, there is dharmajna, one who knows dharma. Knows meaning not theoretical knowledge, where there are a lot of people who know. So it is not that jnana. When you say jnana, it is a jnana which is in use, not jnana which I know. It is not preach versus practice gap. It is not that. That is not implied here. When you say dharmajna, that means he knows dharma, and it's also there in the reply. You will find it. Not only he knows dharma, dharme charati. He actually practices dharma. He is the dharmajna. Then kritajnascha, one who can achieve have that sense of achievement. Everything could be done, accomplished. The sense of accomplishment is possible. So there is a Kritagnya. Satyavak. I mean, the entire episode of Ramayana you will find. And this Satyavak is not easy. In fact, every one of them is very difficult. Please understand, we will say, I am a Satyavak, but for one occasion, but for two occasions. In Mahabharata, when, finally there is a dog, in that even Dharma, once Yudhishthira has to go and then come back. Because once he uttered, there is a story like that. So this Satyavak is not a very easy term. Because you can't say, no, generally I am a Satyavak. I don't mean it. Satyavak is Satyavak. You can't say, no, once, we have a problem. These are all our weaknesses. See, all of us in this room, we have a heated argument on how to remove corruption. But we'll say, see, if you go to get a license, there's so much problem here. I think better give some 1,000 rupees and get the license. We have that. See, this shows the strength of character. What is this showing? This is showing that next comes Dridhavrata. They are related. Satyavakya and Dridhavrata are related. That shows the strength of character. Unwavering can you stand? I mean, many of us can't. We may be 90%, 95%, 97%, 85% here there. Whereas what Valmiki is asking here is 100% situation. So the next one he talks about is Dridhavrata. One who can take a vow and stand by it at any cost. Temptations are very, very difficult for an average human being. There is an occasion in which we get tempted. Whereas Dridhavrata is one who nothing can tempt him. Nothing can tempt him. That's why even Ayodhya Kanda, towards the end of Ayodhya Kanda, when Bharata comes, 98th Sarga to 119th Sarga, the 21 Sargas, pleasure to read. When Bharata comes and then pleads to Rama, 4 arguments he makes. Please take the kingdom back. 4 arguments. Chapalata was not there. See, today you look at the leaders. First argument, before you finish, they'll throw you and sit in the chair itself. That is the situation we have. We are not talking about Dridhavrata is, the ability to not to, get into any kind of a temptation, whatever be the offer that you make in front of me. These are all strength of the characters that would make a great personality at the end of the day. So Dridhavrata is the next one he is asking. Charitrena chako yuktaha sarvabhuteshu ko hitaha vidwan kaha samartascha kascha eka priyadarshanaha. So then he is asking some more. He says, Charitrena kaha yuktaha. Who has that kind of a pedigree? The word I have to use, the correct word I have to use is pedigree. He comes with that kind of a pedigree. Charitra. He is from that such a great background that there is nothing else that can happen other than only right things. No, we use the word pedigree. No, we say he has a good pedigree. What we mean is there is a certain background. There is a certain value system. There is a certain kind of upbringing in which this person has come. So the chances are that this person will be very good. So that's the kind of question he is asking. Charitrena kaha yuktaha. Right? Then sarva bhuteshu kaha hitaha. That's the next question. Again, this is something which we are not able to practice today. We are not able to practice this concept called sarva bhuteshu hitabhava. Man, particularly modern living, I want to tell you this. The modern living is one in which we have so much of intolerance with other living beings. Moment a human being occupies a space, he will clean up that space of all other living beings, including use your finite or something and then spray it into the gutter and get all the cockroaches out of it. And from that onwards, if there are ants, put a powder and kill all of them. This is how we are living. And I will tell you an episode which I told long back that comes to my mind. One day I was walking from my house to my office. I was just walking, and there was one security came running and chasing something he was doing. As I was walking, I approached near, I found what was happening. There was a monkey and he is chasing. Why? Because one of my colleagues said, chase this monkey out. I told him, don't chase this monkey out. This 100-acre belongs to it also. So we have this problem today. In modern living, we have this problem. Sarva bhuteshu hitaha. We don't practice at all. Please understand. And if you want to practice, you have to have a certain kind of a tapas for that. Today, we want to clean up the place, get rid of everything. Right? In fact, minimum, you know what we do? First, we remove all the plants around it and make a lawn. One tree, we do not know. I mean, tree cutting, you should go and see some of the scriptures. Tree cutting is not first allowed, and tree cutting is done with a phenomenal amount of puja and kshama, prarthana. And after a tree is cut, there is another ritual of planting a certain number of. This is our understanding of how to coexist with nature. Today, cutting trees, I'm not even talking about the city where because of traffic, that's a very debatable thing. In front of the house, you cut a tree and make a lawn. In one tree, there will be 1 million creatures which you can't see. You need a microscope to see. You don't want to coexist with them. So this is not easy. Sarva bhuteshu hitaha is not at all easy. We are not able to practice at all. We have gone actually a little away from that. We don't know how to come back. We have to clean up everything and then everything is fine. But he is asking Sarva bhuteshu kaha hitaha. Then Vidwan, one who is known of things, of knowledge, of all that is to be known of. Asmin vijnate sarvamitam vijnatam bhavati in Mundaka Upanishad. Shaunaka asked, Angiras, Kasmin vijnate sarvamitam vijnam. So that kind of a vidwan. Is there somebody? Samartha, capability to do things. Samarthya. Samarthasya bhavaha samarthyam. So samartha, one who is capable. Okay, you should be able to also execute things, no? So, do I have that executional excellence? That is samartha bhava, samarthyam, right? Ekaha priyadarshanaha, uniquely good looking. Kaha cha eka priyadarshanaha. He is also good looking. He is putting a very tight list of things. Huh? Atmavan, okay? One who can, be of himself. That's courage actually. Be of ourselves is a certain amount of courage is required to be of ourselves. Otherwise, human beings, one of our biggest thing is bhaya. In fact, in one of the conferences, I spoke only about bhaya. In Taittiriya Upanishad, I talked about bhaya one day. What are the different types of bhaya that we, on an average, we go through? That's why in Bhagavad Gita, also, abhayam, in chapter 16, Daivi Sampat, he uses the word abhayam. Samshuddhihi, Bhava Samshuddhihi, Abhayam, all those are Daivi Sampat. Otherwise, the Atmavan is somebody who has got the Daivi Sampat, actually. So, Atmavan kaha, Jitakrodaha. This is a very, very difficult thing. Jitakrodaha, to overcome anger. Now, these words, anger and all, we are using it in very common parlance. Nobody can become as angry as Rama when it comes to he sees something which needs to be fixed. So the meaning of anger has to be understood that anger which arises out of, kama and krodha are two sides of the coin. It is that anger which is what is being frequently talked about. You go after something, if you don't get it, it will turn into anger. And until you get it, you get bhaya, whether you will get it or not. And after you get it, you raise the bar and then get into the cycle again. You raise the bar and go for a higher level requirement and anyway go through bhaya and krodha right through in life. So that is what it is. Whereas Jitakrodha is again one who is able to overpower. Kama Akarshin, Manyura Akarshin, Namo Namah is what we say. Right? So that is what it is talking about. In fact, in Narayana Upanishad, there is a nice mantra. Kama karoti naham karomi, kama karta naham karta, kama karayita naham karayim. Like that, there is Manyuk karoti, Manyuk karta, Manyuk karayita. I am not doing it, it is anger doing. Can we think about separating anger from myself? These are all theoretical ideas. We need to imbibe, think and practice and see how is it possible, because scripture says it is possible. So Jitakrodha. That's the next. Dyutiman, one who is shining. One who is shining means there is no 1000 watts bulb behind him, which means he is Tejasvi. He is a Tejas. I mean, Tejas comes out of knowledge, out of good deeds, Satvika Bhava, Sadgunaha. All these bring Tejas. So this Ditiman is one who is shining. And don't try to put 1,000 watts and then make me shine and all that. That is not what is being implied here. Right? And Anasuyakaha. See, this Jita Krodha and Anasuya are very, very important. Very frequently you will find in our scriptures. Because Asuya, somehow, an average person, otherwise is good. If something good happens to somebody, for a momentarily I start. It's the Asuya. These are signs that we have to make progress. Rather than taking it negatively, I think these are signs, our checklist to say. So Valmiki is reminding us of all those checklists for us in these shlokas. So Anasuyakaha, one who is without Asuya. Well, if something good happens to somebody, his prarabdha, punya and all that, I should not actually get too much bothered either ways. Neither happiness nor sadness. I mean, we should be able to be in that kind of a situation. That is Anasuya Bhava. So Anasuyakaha, he's asking, is there somebody like that? Then look at Jita Krodha is there in the first line. Look at the second line. It says Jata Roshasya Bibyati. If he gets angry, the whole world will be afraid of him. Is there somebody like that? See, in the first line he said, is there somebody who has conquered anger? Second line it is asking, Kasya Bibbati Devasya, including Deva, will they be afraid of that person? Moment he gets angry, finished. Nobody can do anything about it. So the anger is for a dharmika drishti. That is the meaning of that. So he says, Kasya Bibyati Devasya, Jata Roshasya Sanyuge. So these are the four. He says, Etat Ichchami Aham Shrotum. I want to hear this from you. Valmiki asks Narada, Etad Ichchami Aham Shrotum Param Kautuhalam Hime. I will be very happy to know that there is a person like this. Is there a person like this? And if you tell me there is a person like this, I'll be extremely happy. Param Kautuhalam Hime Maharshe Tvam Samartosi. You are the only one who will be able to tell. Hey Maharshe, you will be able to tell. Samartosi Nyatum Evam Vidam Varam. You are the one who will know, therefore you are the one you will be able to tell. Tell me, is there somebody like this? So this is the question that Valmiki asks. In other words, Valmiki in the first four shlokas has put 16 attributes for a perfect human being, which is very different from what I started with, where I said, I got a PhD, he got a IET degree, he got a AIMS doctor, he got a lot of money, he had a 7-digit salary. This is how we decide how people are good and perfect. Whereas he comes with a different list now. So what is the list? So he says Gunavan. So I am summarizing all of them. He says Gunavan, Viryavan, Dharmajnaha, Kritagnaha, Satyavakyaha, Dridavratah, Charitrena Yuktaha, okay, Sarvabhuteshu Hitaha, Vidwan, Samartaha, Priyadarshanah, Eka Priyadarshanah, Atmavan, Jitakrodha, Dutiman, Anasuyakaha, and Jata Roshasya Bibyati. Kasya Jata Roshasya Bibyati. Okay. So these are 16. To me, these are Shodasa Kalas. There are 16, exactly 16 here. These are the Shodasa Kalas that we should really look at. There is a Shodasa Kala that he talked about. These are the Shodasa Kalas, according to me, to count a human. So Valmiki has started at the very beginning of the epic. He has given us a list. He said, if somebody wants to measure up to being a perfect human being, here is the list. Take it and go. And see where do you count yourself in. Second important thing is none of them is outcome based. Look at here. None of them, these are all process based. None of them are outcome based. Whereas the example I told, my son is, well educated. These are all outcome. My son has got a very good job. He is very comfortable. My son is got a lot of marks. He has got a first rank. My son or daughter is, making a lot of money. Very happy. Everything is fine. They are all output. Whereas Valmiki is process oriented. He says if the process is right, output will be right. Without a process, if you go after an output, it will be adharmic quite often. That is what is happening in many of in the name of business management. If you start managing your output without the right kind of capability, then the way you manage will be different. Because the capabilities are not there, so now you will start managing it in a different way. So here is a 16 set of attributes which Valmiki has straight away given us at the beginning of the Kavya itself. We should actually print it and hang it somewhere and see where are we. Finished. Really, this is exactly what he says. He says if there is a person who can measure himself, we can put our own attributes of a 5-point scale or a 100-point and find out, in Jata Rosha se Bigdati, am I 0 or 100 or 22 or 35? I can do that. He has given me a list of 16 things which make a human being perfect.